We want to get advantage from where they go to remove stuff. Let's start. Our opponent's like, wait, nope, not playing out this one. Listen up, everybody. Things are looking really grim right now in Innistrad. You know, Midnight has been here and is now Eternal Night. Catilda is dead, with all of our hopes of bringing back the sun, as the ritual failed. And humans are just being slaughtered left and right. And now the two most powerful vampire houses are gonna like join together. And it's right now that we're gonna fight. We're gonna bring back the dawn. We're gonna see the next day. You know, we're gonna show that human spirit that just I mean not spirits because that's a different thing, but we're gonna show that human spirit that just makes Innistrad so unique and so interesting. And the deck we're playing today is going to be Torens, Fist of the Angels, and the Dawn Brigade. And we're gonna fight and bring back the day, guys. So without further ado, let's get into that deck tech. Okay, guys, so this deck is Flava Town. Like, this is the Guy Fieri of like the most flavorful decks thing I've ever built in MTG Arena so far, and I'm very excited to share it. So we are playing Torrens, Fist of the Angels, and we called this deck the Dawn Brigade because we are taking as many cards as we can that fit the deck theme from Innistrad, both past and future, past and present. To put them into this deck. So first of all, the main idea of the deck is that we are going to put Torrens out pretty early, and we're just going to start dropping creature, which in turn will make creature, and then we're going to swing. So first, let's talk about some of the Innistrad inclusions that I think are like incredibly cool. First, Hopeful Initiate is a great 1-drop. We do want a lot of 1-drops, so we can get these out with Torrens potentially turn 3, 4, 5, something like that. We can play multiple creatures and go wide. This gives us a way to then use those tokens or those counters on our training creatures to blow up our opponent's stuff, which is really cool. Then we, of course, have our favorite, Mikaeus the Lunarch, our priest with the beast, who's going to buff all of our stuff, which is really great because we have a couple of counter synergies in the deck. Nothing too crazy, just a few, because we have a lot of incidental counters just between everything. Of course, we have Ambitious Farmhand because it's a fantastic way to keep our land drops, and itself is only a 2-drop. They can then buff itself because we can hit Coven pretty easily with all the counter shenanigans we have. Of course, we have Cathar Commando for more abilities, kind of good stuff. For old stuff, of course, we have Hanwar Militia Captain. It works great since we're on this token go wide strategy, since it itself will get really big. It'll create more tokens. Intangible Virtue is one of my favorite cards from the OG Innistrad sets, and it will give our tokens +1/+1 in Vigilance, which means that they get even better because they'll train, get bigger, and then still have Vigilance, so they can block, which is really neat. Intrepid Adversary allows us to get buffed when we go wide as well. Sun Gold Sentinel, where'd it go? Oh, it's on the 3-drop. Cemetery Prowler and Cemetery Protector all give us a way to hate on the graveyard without being untargetable, while still being like these really cool incidental abilities by giving us other creatures, making our creatures cheaper, or just being able to, be unblockable. Thalia's Lieutenant and Thalia. I mean, obviously we got Thalia again in the new set, but I'm just really excited to have her. We are using new art Thalia just because I haven't got to play with her yet, even though I like the old arts better from the Secret Lair. Thalia's Lieutenant is really cool since it's going to buff all of our humans on the ground, and then it itself will get big real quick. For our ramp pieces, of course, we have all the good 1-drops, Spare Sentinel, Gilded Goose, Llanowar Elves, but then we have Reclusive Taxidermist for another ramp piece that is also a human and from Innistrad, so it's even better because, this is exactly what I want to be doing. We would not be able to be playing this kind of like coincidental human tribal without a Catilda Dawnheart Prime. This really lets us kind of get a lot of mana value out of our creatures when it's working. Couple other things, Sereth becomes really cool because these 1/1s with training can then become Death Touchers that they are going to have to go through, which allows us to trade up, which is just kind of a very interesting kind of thing to have with the deck. Augur of Autumn allows us to hit more land drops, and it can hit more creature drops, which of course just means awesome stuff. Of course, we have Hamlet Vanguard, Save Ollenbrook for more things that kind of work together with our humans. Adeline allows us to put more hands on the battlefield. She herself has Vigilance when attacking and benefits from us getting all these big creatures. Mentor the Meek and Welcoming Vampire fill a very similar role where we play our creatures, we're going to get some draws off and try to play more creatures, with Wedding Announcement being this absolutely beast of a card. Like, I have not seen this card too much, but this card is just so nuts. It's draw cards, or you get creatures, and then it becomes an anthem, and it just does so much work. It is so much work in the deck. And since they're humans, they synergize with a bunch of other stuff as well. With Champion Lambholt, allowing us to potentially swing in wider if we get more stuff onto it. And since we're putting out like 3-4 creatures a turn, Champion Lambholt can grow really quickly and our stuff can become very unblockable very quickly. So, as far as some of our win cons that are also from the Innistrad block, we have Sigarda's Summons, since all of our training creatures can now become 4/4 flyers with their counters, which can be just like a really great way to swing through. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some better ways, but we're going for flavor here, you know? Then we, of course, have Cather's Crusade, one of the other great ways to put counters on stuff, since this is going to then, for every creature we play a Torens out, all of our creatures are going to get +2/+2, which is just going to be awesome. And then Glorious Sunrise and Unnatural Growth also provide this way to kind of grow our stuff. Glorious Sunrise giving us the option for trample, life gain, card draw, or mana is just really cool. I think this card is a really great flex spot. It may not be the most powerful thing in a 1v1 format, but I have really enjoyed getting the +1/+1 and trample off so far. And Unnatural Growth getting us to grow. Unfortunately, it's not base power, so it actually means that we're growing a lot bigger since we're going to have counters on our stuff. So as for some of the things that kind of synergize that are outside of Innistrad, we have one of our best cards here at Hardened Scales. It gives you an additional +1/+1 counter where it's added. So that means that training now becomes 2, and it's only a 1-mana enchantment. Mikaeus now gives 2 counters. Catilda now gives 2 counters, and that's just this incredibly powerful ability. March of the Multitudes, unfortunately, does not create humans, but it does allow us to go really wide and make us go even wider since we can convoke it with all the tokens we already have. It's just a really good kind of like win more to close out the game. We have Felidar Retreat to give tokens to our stuff or create more bodies. Tokens and Vigilance is really good, especially with training. We've shown that before. Anointed Procession, Parallel Lives can both double the amount of tokens we're creating, which is just awesome and exactly what we want to do. Reese the Redeemed and Ovia Pashiri are both going to give us something to do. We can either create double more tokens, we can create a big token to get through certain block states, and Creator of Behemoth as well when we go wide. Just becomes like an insta-kill OTK kind of combo thing. We do have a couple things in here. The last 2 tech pieces I really want to talk about are going to be Heroic Intervention. This will keep us from getting board wiped into certain matchups. You're going to need to keep this open basically as early as like turn 5 or 4. And you'll just be slow growing the board while you have this up to try to like play around the removal. And then we have Dromoka's Command, which in certain matchups also becomes similar to Heroic Intervention. There's a lot of damaging board wipes kind of going on right now, and this can negate the damage that it does to your creatures, or it can be useful to get them a second enchantment, which could be something that's like maybe effects that are keeping stuff under it. We can get that back, or fights. Like this is just a very flexible card for the deck. We also keep Veil of Summer in for the same thing to try to get through for counters or removal. I think that, the high roll of this is just generally going to be better. And then our last real kind of tech card is going to be also from the Innistrad block, and it's by invitation only. And since we go wide, we can generally make this fairly one-sided. Make them remove 3 to 4 creatures, and we're removing some like really small tokens or things that we don't really need anymore, and we're going to generate like a free attack through, which can be just really good. Yeah, guys, that's the deck. You'll probably see more as we go in action, and of course we're running enough lands that we can, of course, put in Field of the Dead, because it wouldn't be a BPRadiant deck without Field of the Dead at this point. I hope you guys like the deck, and, there is going to be a more powerful version with a little less flavor that I'll go ahead and put copied down in the comments below, as well as in the comments of the official deck on Aether Hub as well. So give that a check out if you like it and think it's very powerful. There's just some really great synergies here. And again, we are kind of like trying to really lean into what makes Innistrad. And here we are bringing back the day. And I think that's just so important to kind of be able to play a deck that is doing that, because I'm really excited. Obviously, you know me, I'm all about, the day, the sun. Yeah. So this is kind of where I like to be. So without further ado, let's move to the combat step and get into the games. Game number 1, Torens the Brigade against Esper Control with Chromium. This will be a very interesting matchup. So we don't have anything we really need to play turn 2. But this seems like a pretty good hand. We can go this route, I think. Yeah. Start getting into another land, I think. Perfect. I want to get more lands here. We'll go ahead and we're going to have to Hydra, since otherwise it's going to come into play tapped. We do need to watch out for board wipes into this matchup. I think we could either really get under them, or they could get under us. So it's really just going to kind of be whether or not they have that board wipe, I think, on turn 4 or 5. Looking for blue. Kind of good. That's what I want to see. We're going to hold on to our Giant Killer here. I think we're going to go ahead and Torens Giant Killer. So the next turn after we can Feel the Dead Toski, try to draw some cards. And that we can get immediate value out of Torens here. Interesting. Okay. So we are going to put out the Falconer for now. Unfortunately, he is kind of removal bait. It really sucks, but we need to make sure we get immediate value out of Torens. If we just cast Torens and they have removal here, then we don't end up with anything on the board for our own Toski. So we're going to go to combat. Our Torens down. The old G Killer. The fact they eliminated the Llanowar means I think they may not have the board wipe, which could be good. We're gonna Toski here and attempt to get some card stock back. Stock our cards. Get our card stock back. We're playing paper Magic. We're playing digital Magic, obviously. So we gotta get that card stock. Oh, we need it. After this game, we're gonna change our avatar and our sleeves too. I totally forgot. We gotta theme out, you know. One does tap down 2. They're looking like that could be a Doomscar, is what I'm currently thinking, which means this Toski is gonna be even better. They're probably looking for their second white source to cast it. They're not insta-snapping, so they may have had 2 different sources. Ooh. Into that Ugin is absolutely huge here. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead, restock our hand. Go back to 7 so we can get some card advantage on them. We'll put out Feel the Dead, I think, here. Yeah. Get a tap line down. If he does have the white mana, we still have a Toski out, which is great. And we can still probably Torens into Lunarch if we wanted to. That's flying. Oh, because it has a counter. That's so cool. I forgot about this guy being here. Alright, so our opponent doesn't look like they drew the second plains, I don't think. Or they're still waiting to see if they can shock themselves. Giant Killer can tap down a blocker. Our time is pretty okay. So we're not out of the woods yet. So let's start here at the Augur. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and just go here. There's no reason to, like, continue to cast from our hand when we need to keep next turn open. Now we've got, like, a pretty good amount of lands. Could put out the United Procession next turn. Okay. He does get quite a few here. Has to burn one of his board wipes. Okay. Unfortunately, we do win. Yeah. With the Lair of the Hydra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5, sorry. Oh, that was a mistake. Like green and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it starts at 1. Okay, so I made a slight misplay there. Unfortunately, if he has the board up, I think we still just have the Lair of the Hydra. Whoops. Okay. Managed to get the win either way. Our opponent does get a little unlucky with their draws, but, like, I mean, you know, they had the strategic planning to look for stuff, and they eliminated a very early target, but I think they should have saved it for Torens, potentially. Yeah, guys, that is a very quick game 1, but I'm very excited about it. Okay, so for game number 2, we changed a little bit. We're rocking Gideon, and we have our dog as our pet, because man's best friend. And we did this because we don't have any Innistrad human, you know, people we could actually do. I think I don't remember if there was a Thalia one or not, but I don't have it. I like this a lot, so I think we're going to keep it. This feels okay. There's no real ramp, but the Esper Sentinel lets us draw cards. It is Chulane, though. So we may want to. Our opponent did mulligan. We're going to keep. Chulane could really be like a lot of different things, but I think getting a Sentinel out early gives us enough like potential card draw that I think it's worth keeping. It's a little bit of a slower hand, so we'll kind of see if we're punished for that. We do potentially stop some of the ramp shenanigans, though. Ooh, okay. Well, that's not what I want to see. Go ahead and see what's trade. I'll offer it. Okay. And then we'll... I want to put this out. I don't. I thought I might, but I think that it's too important to keep. You get to draw, which that is really nice. Unfortunately, it's a tap land. He's going to gain life. The opposite of what I want to see. Didn't swing. So let's... I think we're going to go ahead and we'll champion into initiate next turn. We'll try to go the unblockable route. Our opponent could get a lot of lands out, which would let them ramp out pretty hard here. I think we're still in a pretty okay position. Yeah. And they're down to only 2 cards in hand, so it's not actually too bad for us right now. Ooh. Okay. Well, I'm not happy about it, but it could be worse. We do have an unnatural growth. I think it's worth just going wide real quick. I don't really want to put out just one. If we can draw another green, unnatural growth could be really good to push through a ton of damage very quickly. So maybe we do want to just march for one. Yeah, we're going to march for one, actually. I want to get one on the champion. Which means none of this stuff can block anymore. We need 2 more, actually. So we get Cemetery Prowler. Makes our instants cheaper. Let's start there. We'll just go hard here. Nice. Drop him like a solid 10. Gain 1 life. We have an okay blocker on the defense here. Shepherd is tough because he could potentially buff it to a 5/5. Questing Beast not as much tough because I don't think... Well, he'll be able to block once we draw a creature. We'll just take the 4. When it is getting to draw a ton, though. So we really have to try to put him in the dirt soon. We'd like to draw a creature here for sure. Kept him on top. Okay. So we don't draw anything like that. So we are going to Virtue. And then thinking we get rid of the Dryad. We could reduce the champion to get rid of the Kenrith, but that just doesn't do a bunch for us. Getting into more... We're going to pass for now. He does have a 4/4. I think we could potentially Field of Ruin into trying to draw into another green source is like one of our outs right now. I don't hate the idea of Kenrithing either, because if we draw a creature, we can still swing through with the champion. Because we'll get 2 triggers. So at the end of his turn, we will hit here. I don't want to just give him another untapped land. At least here we're making him choose like what basic he wants to go for. He will get a mana from it, but I can't imagine he'll have too much to do with it. We'll get another green source. And then we will leave that for now. Tough game. Right now. Okay, he will get the night pack. Okay. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Nice. Okay, we do manage to get the creature. We'll get 2 more triggers. None of his stuff can block. Okay. Ooh, Champion Lameholt showing off that it is a good card. Like, normally our opponent would have us gummed up there, and I think we would just lose to 2 lane value. So, nice. Getting to show off that the humans of Innistrad are nothing if not resilient. Game number 3, Torens the Dawn Brigade versus Araya, first of Lochthwain, mono black. This will be an interesting one for sure. Do we want to go kind of hard here? I think we do. Able to Hilda. We do this instead. We'll trade here basically. Like he'll either be able to block so we can bring it back, which could be bad for us, but we'll have to see. Otherwise he'd be able to just attack. So if he has recursion here, it might be pretty bad for him to get a 5/5 this early. Okay. Jaren's not that bad though. So start with the, we have 4 mana total. So we'll do this into this. And feel pretty good right now. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana next turn. So we can actually Guardian Project into Savior, I think. Yeah. Have a pretty nice go wide strategy here. Into Divine Visitation, into like 2, 3 Angels. Feels really oppressive. Okay. We just need to be careful here of board wipes, it looks like. Go ahead. Pay this. And we will end. Yeah, because we can now Ovia to put out an Angel if he has an answer, or we have Fateful Absence held up. Or we can always put out 2 Angels of March as well. Feeling really good right now about our chances with this game. We'll see. Poison the Cup. Just do this. We're kind of okay with that because we can always cast him again to get a draw trigger from Guardian Project. Okay. Our opponent's like, oh wait, Angels. And they missed their 5th land drop. But okay, so we got to see Catilda, another one of our humans from Innistrad, getting to put in some huge work there by helping us to be able to tap mana to get a bunch of resources down very quickly. So that's kind of exciting that we're seeing different cards perform different actions to show us like different routes to victory. Game number 4, the Dawn Brigade's on a roll right now with 3-0 into Tiamat. And a really cool bad hand. We get 2 of our like 3 cards that we cannot play. Yeah, hard mulligan, I think. No white. I think we mulligan out of 6 here. We'll keep it. We'll put the Crater Hoof on the bottom. And we'll see if we can get into a green mana here, probably. Hand's a little slow, but we'll kind of have to play it by ear, I think. I think if we draw a green mana by turn 3, we're still going to be in an okay spot. Perfect. This way we can Torens and a Giant Killer, I believe, is probably the play. Our opponent does get to ramp out a little bit here. We just need to make sure to kind of put them in some form of clock. Never like having to go on a 6, though. It's always a tough one. Did you get a land out? Is there white, red, blue? Okay. So there are 4 colors right now. We will Torens, Giant Killer. Okay. Mentor will make this guy pretty big, which will make Torrens pretty big, and they'll kind of be able to flip-flop, which is neat. He wants to go for it. So he's going for the potential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Well, that's not good. But I think we pretty much have to do this play. Or we try to go wide, so if he plays Tiamat, we can go in for it here. Thankfully, Conclave Mentor. He could have a board wipe here, in which case not having the Heroic Intervention up is bad. But this is just a really good combo to have. Double blue. They don't want to Tiamat, so they're looking for an answer, I think. Red, red, blue, white, or blue, white, black, green. So they could have done it. They still can. Could potentially combo off too. I get rid of red. Nice! We managed to pull it out. Oh, we kept down to a hand of 6. And this time, unfortunately, we didn't see anything from Innistrad to really make the difference. We did see the Conclave Mentor synergy with the deck, and then Luminarch Aspirant kind of letting us to, like, really... Those coming down on the same turn to pump our damage by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. Like, we went from would have dealing, 5 to, 11. Or 16, sorry. And that just, like, I think really put them on the back foot there. Instead of just getting the 2 counters here, even just from the Conclave with the 1 training, like being able to get all that was really gravy. Game number 5, Torens versus the Elves. Interesting. No Elves on Innistrad, so I don't know what they'll be able to make of this. Unfortunately, we're going to have to mulligan trying to find more to do. I like this hand a lot more. It gives us a turn 3 Torens into Lunarch Veteran, which is really nice. And then we have the Cathar's Crusade to potentially go over. So we may not need land anymore. I don't think I really want the Prowler at this point. This route. Both putting out some mana dorks. The old dorking it. So we'll deal it out here, and you can tap again. Counter's really tough to deal with, actually. That's not too. Torens. Red Lunarch Veteran. So we have the Cathar's Crusade into March, so that's really good for us, actually. So we just need to get the Cathars out, and then next turn probably March and look to win there, depending what he does. This is kind of nice, since it's pretty slow. Like, next turn we have to be a little more worried. But... this way we have a 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll be 7 sevens. Yeah, that feels really good. We'll see if we can get the Cathar's Crusade win out here. Thankfully, it's still looking fairly slow for our opponent. It's 3 mana potentially. Okay. Could get the emblem off. Okay, decides not to. So Could do this. So we could do it not instant speed, and then have the Tribunal to get rid of Tyvar or Beast Whisperer. That's a tough one. We're just gonna do it. No. Because does Tyvar ulting really give him anything? Yes. Potentially a lot. Depending on what he draws. Let's go to the Beast Whisperer here. No, I want it to be a surprise. We can always play the Conclave Tribunal on a blocker. The turn after. Okay. Does go for the ult here. Which is not great for us because he does have an option, but we can also bait him into making a bad attack. He has access to he has access to 4 mana. And he'll be able to play a lot because of the haste options. So depending on what mana dork ends up drawing, this could actually be pretty bad for us. Because he's drawing a ton of like action. But the good news is he still has to tap a bunch. And we still have a bunch of life gain off this March of the Multitudes. Okay, so we know he only has, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. March for 6. Go huge over him real quick. We'll get 6 triggers here, plus we'll gain a bunch of life. I think we can just win here. Pretty sure. We can... Okay. Green. Green. We'll trigger Outland Liberator. Which we're just growing everybody right now, basically. And we'll have all 4 of those to use the Conclave Tribunal with. We're going for the big old Cathar's Crusade win. We're going to show elves how you really go wide and big. Oh my god, that's really funny. We get a Novia for extra, for good measure. Good. Just do that. Get rid of a blocker. And let's go to town. Get some training triggers, and boom. We got to see Cathar's Crusade go off that game. So we finally get to see another one of our overall win cons. That's really exciting. Yeah, so I think we just proved that Innistrad can defend itself. So that was awesome. We managed to do pretty well in those series. So let's first take this to our litmus test to see how bright our deck's future is. And for those of you who don't know, the litmus test is a 5-game series streak that will then tell us how bright that deck's future is going to be. And honestly, let's see how this one performed. We'll go ahead and do our little calculations, and boom, nothing changed. It was a clean 5-0 with, honestly, a few touch-and-go moments, including the mulligan to 6, but it still turned out really good. And I think this deck has like a lot of potential, especially considering it seems as though the commander weighting is very low. Let's talk about some of our wins, though. So first we had game 1, which is a Torens win con. We've managed to go pretty wide very quickly, and we even like managed to withstand one of the board wipes. And game 2, we managed to get Champion of Lamb holdout, which allowed us to attack through a very gummed up board that otherwise, I think, Tulane Valley would have let it like just completely blown us over. Game 3 shut off a lot of Catilda and the amount of mana that she can generate for us to increase our value. Game 4, we saw the counter synergy come out, which was very important to apply a lot of pressure to our opponent. We managed to, add 6 damage to our swing that one turn with just 2 cards. And in Game 5, Cathar's Crusade allowed us to really explode over elves, which was already having a fairly explosive start, getting to ult off of their Planeswalker to Varkel. It was very exciting kind of seeing that 4 of these wins were also based on Innistrad win conditions. that's something I was really excited to kind of see because, you know, it was important to me when I was building this deck that we saw the flavor of the native humans to Innistrad beating back the darkness. And that was very exciting to me to get to experience that. So if you like the flavor of Innistrad, and if you like the flavor of the humans kind of banding together to stop all the evils that were coming at them and beat back the night and bring back the dawn, this deck is definitely for you. I really enjoyed the flavor. I'm going to play this one probably at least until Innistrad rotates. But you know, since this was a pretty short video, all things considered, I had a lot of like 4 to 5 minute games. I'm going to include a bonus game and a bonus deck tech for the more, I'm going to say probably more competitively tuned Torens deck I'm working on. It is by no means going to be like super competitive, but I am trying to work on it more and more. And this is the build I've kind of gone to with like a few cards that are probably more synergistic than some of the stuff I put in that was from Innistrad. Just like this would be kind of like our good stuff token themed deck. But I hope you guys like it. And as always, I really hope you guys can give me a comment or subscribe. We are still doing voting for our next video. I will be taking those on this comment as well. I'll be trying to get that out late this week, early next week for our next commander. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this product and stay tuned for the next one. And as always, be radiant. So first you'll notice that there's not really tons of changes. It's mostly going to be around the top end to make things, in my opinion, more likely to actually win you the game. So first, the big thing is we cut some of our 5-drops to put in Tristani Discordant, who I think is just going to be better Anthem effect for the most part than Glorious Sunrise, since she has she has other uses as a creature, can get back stuff against theft decks, creates 2 more creatures to buff up. We've just seen this card works really well into a lot of different matchups right now, and I think that that's kind of like important to me. We also saw us put in Elish Norn, another Anthem effect that I think that really, if we get some mana, this can be just a win con, as it makes a 4-point swing on all of our creatures over our opponent's creatures, and can allow us to kind of just steamroll the game from there. And we also have Hamza, Guardian of Arashin, and this card is something that I've been experimenting with as like a commander option in the past, but I don't think he was very good because you kind of want to do these token synergies, which makes you want to play big creatures to get the full value of the discount. But since even if he just gives a discount of 1 to a lot of our 2 and 3 drops, even if it's like nothing too crazy, that can allow us to kind of storm off with the cast trigger from Torens and then get more tokens. And that was the main reason he's kind of in here, is to help us storm off with 2 and 3 drops with some of our card draw things coming out. We also included a few more ways to protect, such as Teferi's Protection, as kind of ways, and Skyclave Apparition, like a few better removal options with that and Swords to Plowshares. Just general things that kind of gave us more interaction that I don't feel like the deck really had too much of before. But most everything else as far as the 1, 2, and 3 drop slot is fairly unchanged. And that's predominantly because everything in there was already pretty good, served a purpose, and usually had some form of utility. And we still wanted to keep in the Catilda Dawnheart Prime synergy, as we saw that it was just really strong when it came out with the tokens from Torens. It allowed you to even just like Torens into Catilda, boom, you now have 3 humans on board for 3 mana the next turn, which can just give you an explosive start ahead of your opponent. Ideally, we'd like to see some other cards come in that, like, you know, will let us tap our creatures, like Cryptolith Rites from the OG Innistrad would be fantastic. It lets you tap your creatures for mana, and that would be just really good in this deck. Again, our main problem with this deck is that it's very hard for us to keep mana open to protect our stuff while still developing our board in the early turns. And so we do kind of fold if our opponent has a very early, like turn 4, turn 3, with like ramped help on the board wipes. It really sets us back. So control is one of our toughest matchups, which unfortunately when the competitive side of Brawl is like fairly common. But we do manage to go wide enough that sometimes we can actually kind of block and counterattack against other aggro decks. And so there's definitely room there for this deck to grow. And I will be trying to kind of play with this more and more. I will probably do potentially a video on this towards the end of the season, or if I end up feeling like the win-loss record's really good. But yeah, I mean, everything else is fairly similar. We are trying to run enough of our multiple lands to get both. I am thinking that potentially I need to run fewer basics and snow basics for more dual lands, even if they come in tapped. It's not exciting, but I have been noticing that sometimes it's hard to hit that double green or that double white by the 5-drop slot if I'm not getting in any kind of card draw. Yeah, the deck itself is just really fun right now. I've been having a blast. We just need to change our card back. We're gonna pick, none of these are super human focused. we'll pick the torch because you know that's what we got. Okay. So we're trying this bonus game again. We're in a mono way, where we're hopefully not going to see somebody scoop in like the first 10 seconds of the game again. I like this a lot. We'll keep it. We can get out the Aspirant very early on. We'll start the Ardenvale. Our opponent is down. I believe they're going to keep. Okay. So Ardenvale first. We'll get the Aspirant going and ticking up. That way they can potentially start swinging through. Unfortunately, Grandmaster Flowers can kind of brick us if we're not careful. So we will still activate abilities though. So go ahead and hit for 3 with the Aspirant, I feel, before we trigger on Torens. Just really start trying to like pressure our opponent. I think we'll go ahead and put this on green and get the Beast Whisperer going. Oh, that's really cool. Our opponent is looking like they might be mana hungry. And that is not what you want to see. Fortunately, this helps me to push through. One decides not to block and proliferate. I'm glad they didn't proliferate their Maze Mind Tome. Makes me happy. So if land, we get Tristani, which is awesome. And if not, we get other stuff, which is still awesome. So our opponent wants to do... They missed 1 land drop, but I think we're still... Even if they didn't, I feel like we'd still be in a pretty good position. So we can go hard on going wide. Could play into a board wipe, but you know, we're here to risk it for the biscuit to show off like just how like big this board can get. I want to keep getting that draw ability going. Ooh, got a Crater Hoof too. Let's see this. Put it on that. Oh, gonna remove full control. My bad. So I can potentially trade their board for Torens if they want to here. But at least everything trades now. I'm pretty okay. He's not like super relevant to my game plan anymore. And now we have a pretty big Luminarch Aspirant going at their face. We'll do that. You want to make my guys bigger? That'd be great. Aww. Okay, so our opponent's given up. It looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we top deck a land, we get to get a Crater Hoof, which is always a sight to hold. Bye-bye, Luminarch. Ta-ta, Turbo Man. Sorry, it's almost Christmas. Okay, well, that's close. Maybe we'll go up even further. We'll hit that. The trigger should win here. But we also want to take out the Wanderer on the way. Yeah, I mean, it functionally works out pretty similar. Maybe you can see how Tristani would be pretty big when you've got a board this big. I mean, you know, she came out, she pumped my team. Let's count it out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like, it gets an extra 8 damage and like actually got us lethal. So you can see that like after a while, Torens is mostly there in the other deck and this deck as an early game value engine to get like 3 or 4 of these guys out and maybe some damage in. After this game, I'll show you the first bonus game I tried to get, which I think lasted all of like 30 seconds, where I like, you'll see. It was a very quick game. Our opponent was like, no. And then I had a couple more after that I ended up not recording. I deleted already. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. You can find the deck list, both deck lists down below. One will be linked directly to the Aether Hub, which will have the first one with an exportable, and there'll also be an exportable copyable list of this deck, and in both the description below and in the description of the Aetherhub deck list. So it'll be 2 places, so you can find them both at the same time if you want. And then you can vote in the comments below for who you want to see next. Thanks for letting me watching, and as always, guys, be radiant. Okay, well, I opened this pack before I started streaming, and it had Torens in it. So I have to include this at the end of the video. So it's kind of fake, guys. Whoa.